Wendy is an art teacher. This morning, someone pranked her by putting glue on her coffee mug. She questioned 3 suspects. Blair says,
I didn't do it. I was too busy painting these beautiful flowers.
Jason says, I overslept and came to the studio later than you. And Zara says,
Why would I do that? You're my favorite teacher.
Who did it? It was Zara. There's a glue pen in her pocket. Wendy gives her students a task and leaves the studio. After a while, she returns and sees this painting. She says, Wow, who painted this masterpiece? 3 students claim to be the author of the painting. Can you guess who tells the truth? To solve this mystery, we should take a look at their palettes. Only this student has all colors that match the painting. Wendy goes outdoors to buy some food for lunch. Suddenly, she sees a cyclist lying on the ground. Can you guess what happened here? In fact, the car hit the ketchup bottle. The cyclist just fell nearby and got stained. Wendy receives a delivery. 3 identical boxes with artist supplies. All boxes are labeled incorrectly. Wendy needs to label all boxes correctly by opening just one of them. Can you help her? Since all 3 boxes contain the wrong items, Wendy should open the 3rd box. If it contains watercolor, the first box will definitely have brushes, and the 2nd box, watercolors and brushes. And if she finds brushes in the 3rd box, the first one will contain both watercolors and brushes, while the 2nd one, watercolors only. The delivery guy walks outside and yells, Hey, call the police! Someone stole my car! The police begin an investigation and find these 3 suspects. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? The first guy is just coloring his fence, and the 3rd one is a gardener. But the 2nd guy is hiding a lockpick in his shirt pocket, so he's the thief. Wendy comes to a party. 3 guys invite her to dance, but one of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first guy is just wearing a werewolf costume. The 2nd one has some scratches, but it proves nothing. But the 3rd one has a real wolf tail. After the party, Wendy wakes up in a cell made of ice. She only has a pickaxe in her hand. Meanwhile, her best friend Zach is locked in a similar cell with a drill. Can you predict who will escape? Only Wendy will escape. Zach can't use a drill without electricity. The next day, Wendy arrives at the art studio. She leaves her takeaway coffee at the desk and goes to the toilet. Wendy returns and finds out that someone had drunk her beverage. She checks the cup surface for fingerprints, but she only finds her own traces. Wendy questions 3 suspects among students. Blair says, Sorry, I've been washing my brushes in the sink. I didn't look at your desk. Jason says, Sorry, I don't like coffee, and besides, I've been streaming stories for my followers. And Robin says, I was changing in the dressing room to be a model for portrait class. Can you spot the thief? It was Jason. Take a look at his back pocket. He's hiding rubber gloves. That's why he didn't leave any fingerprints. Wendy receives an emergency call. Someone had stolen paintings from her art studio gallery. Wendy interrogates 3 suspects among the visitors. Sarah says, I came here to buy some of your paintings, but when I entered the gallery, the walls were empty. Jill says, I went blind 7 years ago, so I didn't see anything. I only visit this gallery to use your toilet. And Robert says, Why would I rob this place? I'm the major investor. Who's lying? Jill, if she's really blind, why did she bring this photo camera with her? Wendy carries out entrance exams for art students. One of these 3 artists is left-handed. Can you guess who? It's the third guy. It's easier for lefties to hold a palette in their right hand and paint with their left. This way, his left hand works and the right one stays static. During exams, one guy named Bobby gets very sick and faints. Wendy calls the ambulance and takes him to the hospital. She's just met Bobby, so she doesn't know his relatives, but still, Wendy manages to notice his wife in the hospital right away. Can you spot her too? It's the first lady. They have identical tattoos, and the third lady has a similar mole on her cheek, so she's probably Bobby's sister. Doctors suspect poisoning, so they keep Bobby in the hospital to make tests. Meanwhile, Wendy returns to the studio and questions 3 witnesses among the applicants. Sheila says, "Bobby didn't look healthy in the first place. I don't blame him. Everyone was stressed out during exams." Sam says, "I have no idea who poisoned him, but this person is heartless." And Xavier says, "I think Bobby's just pretending to be ill to get accepted out of pity." The next day, Bobby calls Wendy with the test results. He was poisoned. Wendy calls the police right away and they arrest one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Sam. He knew about the poison before the test results were ready. The next morning, Wendy enters the studio and sees that someone has left a hot mess. Canvases are torn and paints are spilled all over the floor. Can you count all the brushes in this room? "13. What about the glass jars? Can you count the exact number? There are 8 glass jars in this studio, including this broken one. Wendy asks her 3 students, "Who's responsible for this mess?" Nina replies, "I think it was David. He never washes his hands and clothes. He's such a weirdo." David says, "It was Nina. She's just jealous because her paintings weren't selected for an art exhibition." And Amber says, "I don't know who did it. Yesterday, I was feeling sick and stayed home." Who's responsible for this mess? Take a look at the canvas frames. They're all signed. The only canvas that wasn't torn has David's name on it. Therefore, he ruined the studio and his rival's works. Wendy asks her students to the park for an en plein air class. Can you see any weird details in this area? This is an apple tree, but why are there so many oranges under it? 2 students have painted almost identical pictures. Can you help Wendy find 3 differences? Here they are! What about these portraits? Can you spot 3 differences? Over here. After the class, Wendy is trying to leave the park and gets lost. She has to walk through this confusing maze. Can you help her find the way out? Only the first path is correct. On the way home, Wendy enters a supermarket. Can you count the number of cacti? 6. Someone had broken the most expensive car in the parking lot near Wendy's apartment building. The police interrogate 3 witnesses to find out who's guilty. Carl says, "This is my car. I parked it as usual and went home. Wendy woke me up with her call." Gia says,
I was just having a yoga class in a studio nearby. This car belongs to my ex-boyfriend Carl. Too bad he loved this car more than me.
And Peter says, "Carl's my neighbor, but he's not my best friend, if you know what I mean. I've been working all day and just arrived." Who broke Carl's car? It was Gia. She's hiding a baseball bat inside her yoga mat. Just look at this. A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it.
Uh-oh.
Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas. But each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who is lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. Detective Harris was walking along the street when he heard some noise. He decided to check out what had happened. It turned out that some man had grabbed an elderly lady's bag and run away. The detective ran in the direction the witnesses showed him. After he turned the corner, he saw 3 doors. He knocked on the first one. The apartment owner, Patrick, opened the door. The man told the detective he'd just returned from a long run. Another man, Jerry, opened the second door. He said he'd been playing basketball behind his house. The third apartment belonged to Raymond, a musician. He had just finished composing a new piece of music. After talking to all these people, Detective Harris understood who the criminal was. Have you figured it out? The thief is Jerry. He claimed he'd been playing basketball, but he was holding a football while talking to the detective. Sarah and her sister Mary were doing some shopping. When they were leaving a grocery store, Sarah pointed at some young man and exclaimed, "Look, my nephew is over there!" Her sister replied, "Oh right, but it's not my nephew." How is it possible? The young man is Mary's son. Gemma returned from Asia and brought a precious porcelain figurine. She organized a party and invited all her friends to tell them about her journey. They had a great time, but after her friends left, the woman realized the figurine had disappeared. She called the police and showed them the photo she had taken at the party. One of the officers immediately realized who had stolen the figurine. Did you understand it too? It was this girl. She hid the figurine under her hat. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon, he had 3 suspects. Walter said he'd spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who was lying. Do you know it too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Now, look at these hands and try to figure out which person is married. If you look at the first hand attentively, you'll realize it doesn't belong to a grown-up person. On the second hand, there is a mark left by a ring, but there's no ring itself. It must mean that the person is no longer married. On the third hand, there's no ring either, but it's the right hand, and we wear wedding rings on the left hand. So out of these three, this person is most likely to be married. Okay, the next challenge is for you. Look at these three men. They're at the airport. Which of these guys is married? All of these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But pay attention to the man sitting on the bench. On his ticket, it's written, "Family discount." So, he must be the one who's married. Now look at this picture attentively. Does anything strike you as strange? It's winter, but butterflies are flying around the snowman. Now, try to figure out what's wrong with this image. It's the snowman again. Instead of a carrot, his nose is made of broccoli. And the last image for you to analyze. Why does the guy on the right need ski poles if he's going to snowboard? Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts will the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He'll need 6 attempts at the most, 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key and 2 remaining doors, and just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Alicia's mom asked the girl to do some grocery shopping. She gave her a shopping list and her bank card. But the woman knew her daughter was very absent-minded. That's why she gave Alicia a small note in case she forgot the card's PIN number. When the girl was at the register, she realized she had indeed forgotten the PIN. Alicia pulled the note out of her pocket and immediately remembered the code. Can you figure out what it was if the note had a fly, a cat, a person, and a snake drawn on it? The PIN was 6420. Alicia just had to count the number of legs of each creature. A fancy restaurant in Los Angeles was offering a promotional deal. A married couple could eat at the restaurant for half price on their anniversary. To prevent scams, the couple would need proof of their wedding date. On a Thursday evening, a couple entered the restaurant and claimed it was their anniversary, but they didn't have any proof. The restaurant manager was called to speak with the couple. When the manager asked to hear about their wedding day, the wife said,
"Oh, it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Birds were chirping and flowers were in full bloom."
After nearly 10 minutes of ranting, she told the manager that today was their 28th wedding anniversary.
"How lovely," the manager said. "However, you do not qualify for the discount. Today is not your anniversary. You are a liar."
How did the manager know it wasn't their anniversary? The calendar repeats itself every 28 years, so if they were married on a Sunday 28 years ago, the day they came to the restaurant would also have to be a Sunday. But since it was a Thursday, the manager knew they were lying. John called the police to report that his friend Mark had disappeared. He explained that 2 weeks earlier, he had offered Mark to live in his beach house in Miami. He wanted his friend to enjoy some summer heat, but when John returned from a half-month-long business trip to Chile, he found out that Mark was missing. The police listened to John's story and understood the man was lying. How did they figure it out? If it was summer in Miami, it was winter in Chile. And still, John came back suntanned. It means he hadn't been to Chile. Maya was in the gym doing the workout her personal trainer had prepared for her. It was tougher and longer than her usual ones. Exhausted, Maya returned to the changing room only to find her expensive bag gone.
Oh no!
She immediately called the police. They had 3 suspects. Maya's trainer said that he had been preparing a new program for his clients. Emma, another gym goer, said she had been running on a treadmill for 2 hours. The cleaner said he had been washing the swimming pool. Who took Maya's bag? It was her trainer. He knew Maya was going to have a long workout and wouldn't return to the changing room anytime soon. Ready to challenge your visual memory? Let's get started. All you need to do is guess the celebrity by their eyes or any other missing details. Please count the number of correct answers and tell me the results at the end of the quiz. Here's the first task. Can you recognize this singer by their eyes? That's Cardi B. Great job. Let's go ahead and guess this actor. Any ideas? Tom Cruise. What about these pretty eyes? They belong to Taylor Swift. And whose eyes are those? Will Smith. Genius! Can you recognize this actress? Evan Rachel Wood. What about these eyes? They belong to Miley Cyrus. Can you recognize this musician? Kendrick Lamar. Any idea who that might be? Does she look familiar? Rihanna. What about these eyes? They belong to Justin Bieber. Can you recognize this actor? Jason Momoa. And whose eyes are those? Lady Gaga. Here's the next one. What do you say? Ariana Grande, of course. And who might that be? Selena Gomez. You can't confuse these pretty eyes, can you? Jude Law. Can you recognize this celebrity? Steve Jobs. Here's the next one. Any ideas? Anne Hathaway. Can you recognize this singer? Jennifer Lopez. Any idea who that might be? Timothée Chalamet. And what about this guy's eyes? Justin Timberlake. Can you guess this one too? These eyes belong to Albert Einstein. Let's see if you can guess celebrities by their smiles. Billie Eilish, of course. What about this charming smile? Jessica Chastain. And whose teeth are these? Harry Styles. And what about this smile? Zoe Kravitz. Any idea who that might be? Robert Pattinson. Here's the next smile. Beyoncé. What about this one? This smile belongs to Dua Lipa. And whose mouth is this? Ed Sheeran. Who's the owner of this charming smile? Michael Kiwanuka. Any idea who that might be? Jared Leto, of course. Does this smile remind you of anyone special? Scarlett Johansson. What about this mouth? Robert Downey Jr. Can you recognize this actress? Elizabeth Olsen. What about this next one? Cara Delevingne. And who's this charismatic guy? Kit Harington. Let's crack the next puzzle. Any associations? Emma Watson. You should probably recognize this person. Elon Musk. What about this smile? David Bowie. Does this smile remind you of any celebrity? Jennifer Lawrence. Here's the next smile. It belongs to Leonardo DiCaprio. What about the next one? Britney Spears. Any idea who that might be? Kate Winslet, of course. You're doing great, but now let's make the task a little harder. Can you guess the missing eyes that belong to Helena Bonham Carter? Option number 3 fits perfectly. What about Tom Hardy? Can you find the right pair of eyes? Here they are! Great job! Can you recognize Morgan Freeman's eyes? Option number 1 is correct. What about Anna Taylor-Joy? The second option is original. Can you find Amanda Seyfried's eyes? Answer number 1 is correct. What about Bill Hader? The first option is correct. Can you find Meryl Streep's original smile? Here it is. Can you spot Jamie Foxx's eyes? Option number 4 is correct. Which one of these 4 smiles belongs to Jason Segel? The second one. What about Chris Evans? The second option is correct. Can you recognize Sarah Paulson's eyes among these options? This pair is original. What about Ryan Reynolds? Can you spot his smile? Option number 3 is correct. What about Mark Ruffalo? Can you recognize his nose? This one. Let's go ahead and find the missing smile that belongs to Don Cheadle. Any ideas? Option number 2 is correct. Where's Quentin Tarantino's original nose? Over here, option 4. Which one of these 4 mouths belong to Jonah Hill? The third one. What about Michael Cera? Can you recognize the missing eyes? Option number 2 is correct. Which one of these smiles actually belongs to Brad Pitt? The second one. Let's go ahead and find the missing smile that belongs to James Franco. Any ideas? Option number 1 is correct. Which one of these 4 smiles belongs to Channing Tatum? This one. Any idea where Emma Stone's real nose is? Option number 3 is correct. Let's go ahead and find the missing eyes that belong to Margot Robbie. Any ideas? Option number 3 is correct. What about Brie Larson? Can you find her original nose? This one is correct. Can you find Paul Rudd's missing eyes? Any ideas? Option number 1 is correct. Let's go ahead and find the missing mouth that belongs to Daniel Radcliffe. I believe in you. In fact, there are 2 correct answers here. Option 1 and 4 are identical. Can you guess the missing eyes that belong to Orlando Bloom? Number 3 fits perfectly. Any idea about Heidi Klum's nose? Option 4 is correct. What's the original nose that belongs to Zendaya? Can you see it? Here it is. What about Bradley Cooper? Can you find his original eyes? The first answer is correct. Let's go ahead and find the missing nose that belongs to Dwayne Johnson. Any ideas? Option number 1 is original. Can you spot Matthew McConaughey's missing eyes? Option number 4 fits perfectly. What about Katy Perry? Can you find her real smile? Option 2 is correct. Can you guess the missing smile that belongs to Anthony Mackie? The third option fits perfectly. Can you spot Salma Hayek's mouth among these 4 options? Voila! Can you spot Colin Farrell's missing eyes? Here they are. Let's go ahead and find the missing mouth of Kanye West. Any ideas? Option number 4 is original. Can you recognize Kendall Jenner's missing eyes? Option 3 fits perfectly. Can you spot Nicole Kidman's missing mouth? Option 1 is correct. What about Reese Witherspoon? Can you find her original pair of eyes? The first answer is correct. Let's go ahead and spot Jennifer Aniston's missing mouth. Any ideas? Number 2 is original. What about Daniel Kaluuya? Can you find his eyes? Option 1 is correct. Can you find Angelina Jolie's original smile? Here it is. And now let's try to spot celebrities by these hints. Any ideas who that might be? Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. Great job. Here's the next set of hints. Anything familiar? George Clooney. Can you recognize this face? It might belong to some actress or maybe a musician. Kiernan Shipka. Let's go ahead and solve this puzzle. Can you recognize this face? This is Penelope Cruz. I think you shouldn't have any problem recognizing this face, right? It's Megan Thee Stallion. What about this one? Can you recognize any famous scientist by these clues? Please welcome Edward Norton. Here's the next set of hints. Do you find them familiar? Blake Lively. What about these clues? Can your brain see the full picture? Christopher Columbus, of course. Any idea about this celebrity puzzle? You've probably recognized Marilyn Manson. Who's hiding behind these clues? What do you say? Keanu Reeves. Here's the next set of hints. Does anything seem familiar here? Meghan Markle. What about these parts? Can you recognize this person? It's Billy Porter over here. What can you say about these clues? This face belongs to Sarah Jessica Parker. And finally, let's crack these clues. Can you spot any celebrity here? This is Oprah Winfrey. If your score is between 70 and 100 points, congratulations! Your visual memory is phenomenal. Or you're just very, very fond of show business. In any case, you would make an excellent private investigator or celebrity magazine reporter. If your score is between 30 to 70 points, you're pretty attentive. If you're having a hard time choosing the right career path, you might want to consider visual arts and design. If your score is below 30 points, you're not a huge fan of pop culture, or your visual memory needs extra training. No worries, vision is not everyone's dominant sensor. Perhaps you should search for your superpower elsewhere. Maybe have phenomenal hearing or smell skills. Kentucky Fried Chicken was founded in 1930. It's been around for 92 years, but can you tell which one of these logos is the correct one? Yes, here's the one. What about Pringles? What's the correct logo? This one right here. Costco logo. What's your guess? You got it. Next up, Taco Bell. What's the correct logo? It's this one. Oreo is the best-selling cookie brand in the whole world. Do you think you can find the correct logo here? Okay, that was easy. It's this one. Doritos. Right or left? Yep, it's the left one. Haribo is a German brand, and it's 101 years old, so it's older than KFC. You see it all the time on your gummy bears packs. Find the correct logo now. Here it is. Burger King, or as it's known in Australia, Hungry Jack's. Yeah, copyright laws made them change the name, but the question is, where is the one? Found it! A lot of people love them, and you're probably one of them. But do you know the logo well enough? It's this one with a silhouette. Definitely makes it cooler. Fanta isn't even in the top 15 best-selling soda drinks, but you can't deny that it's famous, so what's the correct logo? Here it is. A place where you can literally get anything, so find the right store to go to. Yes, of course, it's this one. What's the correct Wendy's logo? This one, right! Did you know that NASA is short for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration? Good for you, but what's their correct logo? It's this one. I'm having some hardcore flashbacks here. Sesame Street has been running since 1969, so it's been around since your parents were little. We know it all too well, but what is the correct logo? It's this one, 123 Sesame Street. Very easy to remember. What is the correct Ralph Lauren logo? You got it! However fancy iPhones and Apple OS might be, Android still owns about 70% of the market. So what's the correct logo? This one here. I know. Switching colors is a hard game, but you see it so often that you can just trust your instincts to pick the right one. Yes, this one right here. You got it. What's the correct Walmart to go shopping at? Can't confuse this one with anything else. What's the correct logo here? Here it is. Amazon started out as a garage bookstore in the 90s. Now it sells almost everything, and everyone knows it. So can you find the correct logo? It's this one. What's the correct Huawei logo? This one right here. The ancient Olympic Games were staged in Olympia, but the first modern ones were held in 1896 in Athens, Greece. This one's tough. What's the correct logo? This is the one. The voice, left or right? What do you say? It's the right one. Snickers is the best-selling candy bar in the world. What's the correct logo? This one here. eBay often helps you out, but can you find its correct logo? Yeah, it's right here. What do you say about this one? 7-Eleven? Here it is, of course. Paramount gave us so many cool movies, and you've seen their logo hundreds of times. Not for too long, though. Was it enough for you to spot the correct one? This is the one. There's just one mountain. Can you find the correct Puma logo? That's the one. What about Adobe? Can you spot it? It's right here. Here comes a trickier one. What do you gotta say? Gotcha. It's this one. Whether you're a FIFA kind of person or the Sims kind of person, you sure have something to thank Electronic Arts for. What's the correct logo, by the way? This is the one. Škoda is a Czech company, and at first they were producing bikes. Now they make cars as well. What's the correct logo? Here it is. Shazam helped you find that cool song so many times, but do you remember their logo? Here it is. Here comes your language study buddy, Duolingo. What's the correct logo here? It's this one. Google Drive is up next. You use it all the time. Just trust your gut. That's the one. Can you spot the correct Flickr logo? Here it is. Hasbro was founded in Rhode Island by three brothers in 1923. At first, they were selling textile remnants. Now, they sell toys and games. What's the correct logo? It's this one. Your Uber is here. Make sure to pick the right one. Here it is. The game is getting wild. Sorry. If you don't know, just try to guess. This is the one. Even if you're not a hardcore Minecraft player, you must know because it's just too popular. Can you find the right logo? It's this one. What's the correct NBC logo? Yeah, it's the one on the right. What about Levi's? This is the one. What's the logo of The Incredibles? Yeah, from that cool Pixar movie. What's the correct logo? This one. You're my hero. What about the logo of Captain America? Which one is correct? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, the last one for today. Show me the true Pandora. Yes, here it is. Great job.